So hi everybody, Kristen and I decided to put together a frequently asked questions video for you so that if you're having any concern about starting Pilates or you've started your Pilates practice and you're still having questions, then hopefully we can address some of those in this video. Kristen was talking about earlier, one of the questions that she gets is, if I have an injury, is Pilates appropriate for me?
Well, we do like you to have seen your doctor and hopefully had some physical therapy so that you can really have a diagnosis so that when you come into the studio, you can tell us what's happening in your body. But remember that Pilates was created by Joseph Pilates for, the apparatus work was created for people who were injured in World War I, so that the work can be modified for whatever injury that you have. We'll keep you comfortable with pads and supports so that you can start working on your deep foundational muscles without a lot of movement in the beginning. So it's not going to re-injure you. We're going to keep you very safe and start working on the deep foundational muscles to begin with. The apparatus works to give you assistance with the spring resistance and also gives you a little bit of resistance to build strength, so that even if you're uncomfortable with very much movement, we can support you and have you start activating your deep abdominals with spring resistance. And people have a really great success rate, my experience has been. People come in with an injury, and just by getting a little bit of self-awareness and stabilization, they start taking that with them out into the world, and they start feeling more comfortable. And generally they feel much better pretty quickly.
And on that same question, because we typically get many students who have either are dealing with or have been dealing with injury or pain, Pilates, what happens when you have injury or you have pain, you begin to feel a little fearful of moving, and so then your movement gets reduced further and further. So you essentially get further away from where you used to be before the injury.
And you start guarding.
So because Pilates can be so therapeutic, and because of the use of the equipment and the simple fundamental movements, Pilates really gives you an opportunity to restore that joy in your body and start to peel away some of the fears, so that you begin to see that there is actually some light at the end of the tunnel. And then from there, really the sky is the limit, because Pilates also progresses into a very rigorous workout.
I've been injured. I'm a tennis player or a golfer or an athlete of some kind, and I've hurt my shoulder or my back, and people tell me that Pilates can help build core strength and also help me with my injury. So how do I get started? I don't know anything about Pilates.
So the beautiful thing about Pilates, and the reason why more and more doctors and osteopaths and massage therapists and chiropractors are recommending Pilates, is because it's really a whole body movement system. We do focus highly on alignment and posture and the deep muscles of the spine that support posture. For that reason, Pilates is really perfect for realigning and reintegrating any kind of injury, really. So when we get somebody who comes in the door who's had low back pain, or who is recovering from shoulder, hip, or knee, ankle, wrist injury, the way we typically recommend you get started is by meeting with a teacher. Now, if you've got something very specific going on, I would say that it's the only way to get started, and the investment up front is well worth it, because in the long run you're going to be much more successful. So you would start with a private session, an introductory session with one of our teachers. They would do an assessment, they would answer your questions specifically, and then they can recommend a program. Now, again, if you're dealing with something specific, a program is typically going to include 5 to 10 private sessions, where the teacher is working with you directly on whatever you've got going on in your body and really setting you up for the long-term practice. And that could look like home practice. Typically for us in the studio, it's always a combination of home practice and then something in the studio where you're coming back each time and you're learning a little bit week by week. And you might combine that with continued private sessions, self-practice in the studio where you get to use the equipment, or classes. So if you're that person with an injury, your doctor has told you to do Pilates because it will help, it's likely that it will, and you should start with some private work with one of our teachers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.